Hi, I am Dr. Monali Vakharia from the Medical Affairs team of Sun Pharma and your host for today's webisode. Love Your Eyes is this year's theme for World Sight Day, and on this occasion, we are here together to discuss about some common facts, do's and don'ts, and some frequently asked queries, questions in your mind regarding this topic known as myopia. Myopia is one of the causes of preventable blindness. Post COVID and with increasing use of digital devices, it is very critical for us to know about some common information regarding myopia. And for this, we have a very renowned and expert panel with us, moderated by Dr. Jitendra Jethani. It is my pleasure to welcome Sir for this webisode. Welcome, Sir. Dr. Jitendra Jethani is a very renowned and fine pediatric ophthalmologist in the country. He is currently the director of Baroda Children Eye Care and Squint Hospital. For further discussions and for introduction of our other panelists, I would now request Dr. Jitendra Jethani to take over. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monali. And I think it is a wonderful initiative from Sun Pharma to create awareness on World Sight Day on myopia, which is now actually becoming a growing concern in children. As we know that myopia has gradually become a pandemic, as per the reports from Brand Holden Institute of Myopia. They have reported that by the end of 2050, 52% of children or population would be myopic. So I welcome all the panelists. We have eminent panelists from across the country. I would introduce our panelist, one of the senior most pediatric ophthalmologists, Dr. Sumita Agarkar, who has, I have worked with her also. She is a wonderful teacher and a pediatric ophthalmologist. She is deputy director at the world famous Shankar Nethralaya, Chennai. Then we have Dr. Suma Ganesh, who is presently deputy medical director and head of pediatric ophthalmology at Shroff Charity Eye Hospital. A very eminent pediatric ophthalmologist. We have with us Dr. Ramesh Kekunya, who is network director, capacity building external organizations at LV Prasad Eye Institute, which is another world-class institute. And he also heads pediatric ophthalmology department at Hyderabad LVPI. We have with us from eastern part of the country, Dr. Love Kochigave, who is a consultant in pediatric ophthalmology, strabismus, cataract, squint, LASIK, and ocular trauma. And he has extensive experience in handling all kind of difficult strabismus and surgical situations. Another senior person who was trained at Shankar Nethralaya. He has around 15 to 18 years of pediatric ophthalmology experience with him. We have Dr. Sumita Muthu, who's a consultant at Narayan Nethralaya, Bangalore. She is a pediatric ophthalmologist and has been working there for last 4 years. So welcome everybody on this great occasion of World Sight Day, and with such a deep experience and knowledge on pediatric ophthalmology. I think we would start our discussion on pediatric ophthalmology subject of myopia, its progression, and how we can help and the guideline where we can stop the progression of myopia in children. I would like to start with Dr. Sumita. I will be putting up the questions. So I'll put up my first question, which is what exactly is myopia, and how do kids develop myopia, and does myopia progress in children?
So in a very, very simple terms, myopia means short-sightedness, or when, if you look at the optics of it, when the rays of the light focus in front of the retina, and that's why you need a convex lens to correct it. And basically children will have difficulty with distant vision, and they may have difficulty with differentiating between letters on the board, and often their near vision is good compared to distance vision.
What is progression of glasses? How much is the progression of glasses in 1 year? Normally, like a normal
normally 0.5 to 0.7. If it is progressing in a year, these are candidates. And it is not that every child with myopia on first visit, when we have diagnosed, we will start giving these drops. We have to document progression first, and if we see that the myopia is progressing, then these drops have to be started.
So if there is a progression, we will start these drops. Great. So I would like to ask Dr. Sumita ma'am, what are the other options apart from these drops? Since these drops, as Dr. Love has enlightened us about these drops, Can you tell us what other options we have to control the progression of myopia?
There are several optical methods also which can be used. Two scientifically proved and which has come up with some evidence. If you look at the evidence-based medicine, two methods which we can use to stop myopia progression. One is orthokeratology. These are hard contact lenses which have to be worn overnight, and they have proven as effective as atropine in smaller studies, but they are probably one way of preventing myopia progression. And they are specifically designed for overnight use, and they are basically rigid lenses which a child has to wear. That is effective in producing stoppage of, rather slowing down the myopia progression. And the second is bifocal lenses or multifocal glasses are also available now, which have some effect on myopia control. And the newest kid on the block, which is called as defocused incorporated multiple segment. These are specific glasses which have been used, or DIMS technology as it is called. They have also have promising result as far as myopia progression is concerned. So if your child or if your patient is not responding to atropine, you do have some options apart from just drops to take care of progression.
Dr. Sumita, whether exercises help in controlling the progression of myopia, or are there any exercises or any eye yoga which helps in reducing the glass power? Dr. Muthu.
Yes, thank you, Jitani. So, see, the only exercise that actually helps with myopia is what Dr. Ramesh Kekunia just mentioned, giving frequent breaks from near work. So every 20 minutes or so, look at something far. The 20-20 rule is something which is very easy to remember. Every 20 minutes, look at something far that's 20 feet or above for about 20 seconds. Or you can just follow a 30:1 ratio. Like every 30 minutes, look at something far for 1 minute. So this gives the small muscles in the eye which are responsible for progression of myopia. They're called muscles of accommodation. Some break and some rest. Apart from that, just moving the eyes in different direction or convergence exercises or any such thing, they do not help control progression of myopia. This is something that we must remember. And of course, other things that Sir said with regards to outdoor activities and spending time outdoors. These are certain activities, I would say, not exercises, which helps control the progression of myopia by relaxing the muscles of accommodation.
My next question is to Dr. Suma ma'am. What would happen and what would be the problems of myopia if the myopia keeps on increasing?
You, Dr. Jitani. Yes, if we have to be very cautious, because if we do not treat myopia as early as possible, it will get progressively worse. Means what, suppose now the child has just as low myopia, it could become into a high myopia, and higher myopia has its own complications, because like it can become into a pathological myopia. And there's where our problem starts, because they could be visual blinding situations, like you can have retinal problems which are coming in, like retinal detachments. And they say that once you go into higher and higher myopia, you have a 9 times risk for developing retinal detachments. And also there is also a chance that, if you do not treat, glaucoma also is said to occur in some patients who are at a higher myopia, and even cataract. So we have to take this into account, and what our all focus should be, okay, we have diagnosed myopia, and we should convince the parents that the child needs to wear glasses, because sometimes low myopia, the parents tell that, okay, it's like the child is seeing well for near and the child is okay, we should not wear. So we should try to maintain it at low myopia. And I think all the talks have been towards halting the progression of myopia to a high myopia, and that should be our aim. And we cannot leave it untreated. I think we are all talking about to treat it only so that we do not get high myopia.
So my next question is to Dr. Love about, we always we have understood that watching television and watching screens would increase myopia or their glass power. So I wanted to know how long we should let the children watch television and mobile now that we have lockdown. We had lockdown and we have online classes. What is is there any number where how long we should let? Because this is a very common question which we are asked in our OPD by parents, that what is the time and how long we should let the child watch TV and mobile?
We answer it almost to every alternate parent in our OPD. And what happens that parents
Yes,
want
very
us
true.
to tell how much screen time the child can have. One important thing is that we have to differentiate between TV and mobiles, because mobile being a smaller screen and with children seeing it from very close, that has a higher risk in myopia progression, and TV is being seen at a distance. So the chances of progression is much lower there. And with a larger screen, nowadays most of the flat TVs are larger screen TVs. Regarding duration, what I tell my patients is that whatever online classes are going on, you cannot avoid that. But beyond that, the video games and other extracurricular activities on mobiles should be restricted to maximum half an hour or 1 hour per day. Not if possible, none at all when online classes are going on. And it's like how much you can bargain with the child, because nowadays children don't listen to these advices, and if we tell half an hour, maybe they may end up with 1 hour use daily. But whatever we can minimize will help them.
Dr. Ramesh wants to add something.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. That's the most important thing. Most of the parents say from doctor's mouth, if they hear, they will follow. But in practicality, I don't think so it happens, because it happens for 30 seconds or 1 minute in the clinic. But by the time they reach home, I think it's just forgotten. So I think that there are ways we can increase is children, their groups are kind of disintegrated at this point of time because of COVID. Probably, if that integration can happen with the epidemic not ending, I will never say that it is ending, but if they can form their own group, what happens is if they're at home, the activities becomes very limited. It has to be with the parents or elder sibling or somebody. But if they have a group, then the group activity becomes more. Both at school and also at home and with the neighborhood, if these activities can be improved, definitely there is a way that this can be controlled. So having said that, how much time? I would say depending upon the age, I would never go, I would not allow any toddlers to have any kind of screen time, probably 30 minutes or so, with the kind of, long distance online calls and things like that. This is till first 1000 days. After that, I don't think so it can be controllable. It depends upon each group, each age group, it differs. Probably there are available guidelines. This is what is allowed, but that is just a guideline. It cannot be followed completely.
I would like to put up a question whether all myopic children have increase in myopia. Are there any syndromes or are there any predisposing factors to high myopia, and whether there would be some children who may inherently do not increase but do have high myopia, and the drops which Dr. Love told us about may not work in some of these myopic children?
Yeah, I think it does not mean that all myopes, they progress. There are some of the myopes will not progress. From a parent's perspective, I think myopia is not caused by longer eyes. It can be caused by the longer or shorter lens. It can also be caused by the cornea, the front portion of the eye, the black portion. There are 3 reasons for this. When we say that, there are some syndromes called Marfan syndrome, homocystinuria, where the lens shape and the position is different, they can lead to increase in the myopia. Probably in these conditions, most of the times it won't progress. But then there is a condition in the cornea, we call it as keratoconus. The shape of the cornea is different. They can lead to kind of progressive myopia, which is not the typical progressive myopia what we talk. What we are focusing is the typical childhood myopia, where it is due to the increase in the length of the eyeball. That they don't. There are some syndromes called Stickler syndrome, where by birth their eyes are really long. They don't progress much. And then there is a condition called retinopathy of prematurity. With them also, they have a very, very high chance of having this glaucoma, the myopia. So it's not that all myopias they progress, and it's not that all myopes, whoever wears minus power glasses, they should get any kind of drops or anything. With the ophthalmologist consult, we will know which category needs what. It's not that one size fits all. That determination and that investigation an eye doctor should do, and then the treatment should follow depending upon what condition it is.
I think that was very wonderful, and that would be very enlightening for all the parents across the country and all the audiences of Speak Health.
Thank you, panelists and our moderator, for guiding us on some commonly asked questions and related topics for myopia. It was a very simplified and systematic guidance for us. For the viewers, with the world fastly moving towards increasing use of digital devices and with the changing lifestyle, it is critical for us to be aware about myopia. Hope these discussions would have helped you to understand myopia, its signs, symptoms, how to manage it, and what are the risk factors and what symptoms or warnings you should look for. For any further queries, you can further consult your ophthalmologist or eye doctor. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.